stop here a minute and talk about the products. Felt balls. Well, you know, you can get felt balls at different craft type stores, even the Dollar Tree. But when I went to the Dollar Tree, they didn't have any. And at Hobby Lobby, well, the ones they had were a lot smaller than this and not as many color choices. So I looked online on Etsy and found a place called Tada Studio Felt, which is where I bought these. These are 3 centimeters, which is a little bit bigger, I think, than an inch. And then for this first garland that you're seeing me make, at the Dollar Tree, I found these packages of these colors of pumpkins. So you'll see me in a moment thread through the pumpkins through after a few of the felt balls. Now, what to use for your threading? Well, first of all, you've got to have some sturdy type of thread to go through. You don't want to use regular thread, cotton or polyester. It's just, you risk it breaking. So what I am using is bead-alon. It's for stringing jewelry, and it's pretty thick, and it's extremely tough. It's also much thicker than thread. So 2 things I needed to be able to run this through these felt balls. I needed a needle that had a big enough head here that I could get my string through, but I also needed it sharp enough that it's going to go through these felt balls because they're very tough. And you'll see me push in. It goes in just fine, but then it kind of gets stuck. Sometimes I have to just press it down like that to get it to come out the tip. And then on pulling it, I ended up, pliers would be good, but I ended up, here we go. I ended up using just some tiny little needle nose pliers, and that was allowed me to pull it on through. Now I know I went pretty fast on making the tassel, but on the next garland I will show you in regular time exactly how to do that. When I bought this fall ribbon, I didn't know that it was wired. It didn't say anywhere on there that it was wired, but I thought it ended up making a really cute tassel for the colors that I was using in the garland. Attaching the tassel first means that you're going to have to pre-measure out your thread to the length that you need, because you'll be sliding those balls down to the tassel each time. Now in the next garland, I'll show you exactly in detail how to attach those tassels where they're not going to come off. For this next garland, I'm just using some regular sisal type rope that I separated into strands, and rather than using my hands to measure the length of tassel, I just grabbed something that's a little plastic sheet from Iron Orchid Designs that I can use to put my stamps on, smaller stamps. but I'm using it so that it's about 4 inches, so that will work. And I'm just going to wrap it around that several times and then cut the length off at the bottom. Now for tying the top, I felt like this was a little bit thick, so I'm separating it again into a smaller strand. You want to make sure this piece is long enough not only to make a good knot, but to also hang down long enough to go to the bottom of the tassel. So I'm tying it on. After tying it in a knot, you cut the ends off the bottom, and you want to fold that knot to the inside of your tassel so that it will not show. And you've got little strings long enough that are going to hang down. Now you take another small piece of the same material, and I'm just wrapping it around both directions, and then I'll just tie another knot. I chose to unravel all the little pieces that hung down on the tassel to make it fluffier, and then you just simply hold it together and give it a little haircut and make your second one. Okay, I promised to show you on the second garland how to attach the tassel. So the first thing you want to do is go underneath your tie there. Now, I take the needle off. It's just easier, I think, to show you how to just do a regular knot, but then you're going to do what I'm told surgeons do. You loop once and twice. If you loop twice, then you're not going to have the thread possibly even slip out. If you only loop it once like we do regular knots, it can come loose over time. But looping it twice keeps it from doing that. So now I'm trimming off the excess. Again, I have pre-measured the length of my bead line there to about 7 feet, I think. And this time I'm deciding to add a bead at the end of the tassel before I start using the felt balls. I get these little package beads from Amazon. There's a whole lot of them in there, all different sizes. I've chosen 8 colors, 5 balls of each of the 8 colors. So first I lay out my pattern, and then I'm going to do the same thing I did on the last garland. Just thread the felt balls onto the bead line. I'm not using any pumpkins this time. You know, this is one reason why I really liked the Tada Studio felt place from Etsy, because they had so many different colors. These days, for the past several years actually, a lot of fall decor has gone in the more muted fall tones rather than the bright yellows and oranges and reds. Some people just don't enjoy those colors in their home. So I think this ended up making a really pretty garland that is much more muted. When you come to the end, you're going to attach your tassel in the same manner. Use your needle to go underneath that little loop there. Pull it all the way as tight as you can. Come back through that same underneath side, and it's a little hard to see there, but I'm coming through the loop using my needle instead of taking the needle off and using my hands. Then we need to do it again. It's a little bit hard to pull it out here. It's where those needle nose pliers come in handy. Okay, now I want to take my needle off, so I stick my finger in the loop so I don't close it up. Take the needle off, and I trim down some of that beadalon. And again, you want to loop once and twice, and then you've got to pull it as tightly as you can. The needle nose pliers help too to really grab a hold of it and pull it as tight as you can if you need to use them. Now I end up trimming off that excess there, but you could stick the needle back on the end of it and thread it up through the bead and a couple of the felt balls and then trim it just to help secure it, but I didn't feel like that was necessary. And also these felt balls are pretty hard to work with. So there you have it. And it too is in my booth, our booth, Farmer Brown's Paradise. This last garland idea came from Hobby Lobby. I was strolling through their fall section and looking at their garlands, and they had beaded garlands too with pumpkins in between, like the first one that I did, and regular ball ones like the second one. Well, I saw this one made with felt, and it was really expensive. All of them were, even 40% off. So I thought, okay, I really studied how they made it. And I went over to their section where they had different colored felts, and each piece of felt was 33 cents. I have 6 colors there. There's the 6th one. And I bought 2 sheets of each. Now, when I counted at Hobby Lobby, they did, I think, 5 colors, not 6, and they did 10 strips of felt in each little bundled section. So I knew mine was probably going to be a little bit longer than theirs, which is not a bad thing because normally all those garlands are around 6 feet, and sometimes that's too short. If you want to use it on like a mantle or something, you really need about an 8-foot garland. So the first step was to cut strips of felt, and I just kind of did like a fat inch. And after I did cut them, you see, 2 at a time, and then I cut those strips in half. And the way it ended up working out, since I was using 6 colors instead of 5, the number of strips I ended up with, I could divide it evenly into 4 piles of 12 instead of 5 piles of 10 like the Hobby Lobby garland was. So this is a good activity to do in front of watching TV or listening to some music. And being a left-hander and not having left-handed scissors anymore, it takes a little while. Pause here. I ended up eliminating the gold color, and I went back to Hobby Lobby, got 2 more pieces of felt of each of the colors. So I used 4 pieces of 5 colors and in bundles of 12 strips. The first thing I needed to do was decide my order of colors, and I think I like this arrangement. So I'm going to do it a little bit differently on the ends because I'm not exactly sure how long this is going to end up being, so I'm not going to be attaching a tassel or a loop or anything right now at the beginning. So I'm going to start with this silvery gray color, fold it in half, and then go in just about 1/8 of an inch. You know what? I honestly think that this felt is so thin that I don't need anything quite this thick to do this. So let's pause. Checking out my sewing room. I had purchased this thread from the Thread Exchange quite a while back. It is super strong, and it is used for sewing on like leather, thick material. So, and I can't break it at all. So I'm going to use it. I don't need this size embroidery needle. I can use something much smaller and it will go a lot faster that way. I'm just going to keep a tail about 8-10 inches long there. Again, start over, fold in half, goes right through.
Now that I'm at the end of my garland, I want to tie it off by going through a couple of pieces of the felt and then taking my needle up through the loop. And you want to do that 2 or 3 times. After that, I am going to finish it a little differently, not with a tassel, but with some beads so that it can hang on a nail or a hook. And that will complete the garland.